All right, welcome back. It's time for us to go into our communities and have some conversations about things that are happening, sometimes troubling, sometimes good stories. But today we're going over to the Weija Gbawe community, and there's a little bit of a challenge there. Those of you who happen to be living in those areas and watching us, you may want to send us a WhatsApp message regarding the conversation we're about to have. It's 0550-585-832. Let's hear from you. If you happen to be watching us on our streams, kindly use the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Now, people are exchanging their lands, farmlands for real estate, and giving away lands that should be producing, food for buildings. We have a report for you filed by a colleague, Calvis Tete. Let's take a look at this. We'll come back and then we'll call some authorities to find out exactly what is going on there and what are they doing about it.
The municipal chief executive for Weija Gbawe, Patrick Kumo, is worried about the growing trend in the municipality where estate developers are gradually taking over farmlands. According to him, this poses a threat in the long term since the municipality risks losing its farms. He also indicated that farmers who had their farms destroyed after some animals were infected with the African swine fever have been supported with an amount of 184,000 cedis. This, he believes, will go a long way to motivate the farmers.
A lot of farmers in the municipality were affected, and quickly we had to deploy the extension farmers, extension officers to go out there to see those that have been affected and how government can support them in a way. In total, we have about 24 farmers that were affected. Out of that, quite a number of them have been supported with some amount of money in the tune of about 184,000 Ghana cedis plus. We believe we have some few that are left that are also expected to be compensated. We also made some moves to make sure those farmers are also compensated. If you look at the award winners and the people that are involved, these are the youth that we are championing to enter into the agri sector. And the assembly and government is doing everything possible to also encourage them. We believe that moving forward, you see a lot more of the youth in this municipality going into agri. That will create a lot of good job for the teaming youth, and then also get them out of these social vices in the community. What is happening is that a lot of our lands are being sold out to estate developers. We're pleading with the chief to reserve those lands so that this youth can have access to those lands to, go into farming, which I believe they are also paying into it. We'll also make follow-up and still persuade them to give those lands to the teaming youth to be able to help the youth in the municipality.
All right, so it's a very, troubling situation that we find ourselves in, where lands that, have been earmarked for farming and providing of food to the tables of Ghanaians in general are being turned into spaces for building. In that entire area, if you know the area well, you realize that a lot of the areas there are low-lying. Okay, so they are prime for things like rice farming, and even the higher up areas are good soil for agriculture generally. Of course, you saw in there's pig farming and other things that are going on there. But if we're going to a place as a nation where estate developers are taking over all these lands because, of course, they can afford to buy out farmers, then I think we have a critical situation on our hands. Now, it may look like something that's little, but these things have a ripple effect, right? So you find that persons like the real estate developers, if the assembly has specific lands these are farmlands, there should be nothing at all, under the sun that allows someone to take land for use that is not earmarked for. So if a certain place is not residential, it shouldn't be. But here we find ourselves running a country where people are even building in wetlands, So it's not strange when you find that somebody is has bought, farmlands and is using for estate development. Because even the wetlands that are actually internationally off out of bounds for building. People are building in them. They are filling them and building in them, And this is the problem. This is a very, very serious problem. All right. So, I mean, I remember traveling a week ago to Keta and seeing how, the whole ecosystem works in an area where there hasn't yet been violated, as you find in Weija Gbawe. Now, let's talk to the MCE of Weija Gbawe, the Honorable Patrick Kumo. He's on the line with us. Good morning, Honorable. Hello, Honorable.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, and welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Yeah, thank you so very much.
All right. Now, kindly sort of apprise us of the situation in Weija Gbawe. How serious is this problem of estate developers storming your area and basically buying out farmlands?
Yeah, good morning, my brother, and also a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Because I gave this statement at the Harvest Day celebration, which I must say has become a worry to us because, as we all know, because of urbanization, traditional authorities are giving lands to these estate developers, which is taking over areas that we believe could have been used for farming. And we pleaded on them to rescind those decisions because currently where we find ourselves, food is something that is very important in our daily activity and economic activity. Without food, we can have insecurity in the community.
Yeah.
So we pleaded on them to, rescind the decision of selling these lands to these estate developers, more especially around the Joma areas and some portions along the Densu area.
All right. So Honorable, what I wanted to find out is that within your jurisdiction, are there clearly demarcated areas of lands that are specifically reserved for farming? Are there, like special development? As far as the assembly is concerned, I mean, do you have areas that are demarcated for residents, as wetlands, as for farming, and so on? Do you have this at the assembly?
Yeah, basically, I mean, if you look at our planning schemes and all that, more especially within the new Weija area, hitherto that place was reserved as an irrigation site. Some 3-4 decades ago, I mean, all those areas have been encroached upon. Then, of course, when you moved down to the banks of the Densu through to Joma areas. Those were areas that are, heavily, forest areas.
Yeah.
That people can easily just have some farming activity going on in those areas. But as you know, as we all pushing to make money every day, these lands are being sold. And if we don't take care, food production and planting will be a problem for our country. This is what we are calling on our traditional authorities to also look at that angle.
Okay, so these lands are not actually designated lands specifically for farming then?
No, not at all. Not
okay,
at all.
So they are family lands. People have
Absolutely.
been farming there, but it's like now they are looking for more lucrative income, so they're selling them off. That's basically
absolutely
what's happening.
That's definitely true.
That's what's happening. Okay,
Yeah.
the in terms of should I say percentages, how serious would you say the current situation is? Do we have a lot of real estate companies in there already, and buying out the lands? Or is it like a small problem that has potential to grow, or it's actually a big problem that's happening there?
Yeah, it's a small problem that is potentially, growing. And if we stop to it, I will get to a point that we might not even have access to those lands to even cultivate anything.
Okay.
Nature, you cannot cheat nature. certain areas should be reserved for our well-being. In as much as we have an urbanization and people want to own homes and all that, we must also look at the ecology where we can have this land reserved for our well-being. I mean, if we have to sell everything and at the end of the day, food production becomes a difficulty, then of course prices of goods and services price of goods and food in the urban areas will sure be skyrocketing.
Yeah.
This is what we are trying to push to get this done. In as much as we're doing that, we're also trying to push for what we call the backyard farming and then the container farming, where farmers are being, or the youth are being educated in trying to have such containers in cultivating this produce. But then you cannot do it on large scale on that front. But then if we have those lands, then of course we can do production on a large scale. This is what we are asking our traditional authorities to also look at us from that angle.
When you say backyard farming and speaking to traditional authorities and the youth and all that, what are the specifics here? I mean, have you had engagements? Have you had town hall meetings? What are you doing practically to make this happen?
At the assembly, we have the agric department, these extension officers. We have identified these youth who are already in agriculture. And those who are also coming in, we are educating them and then also giving them this new technology that we are trying to deploy, that is the container farming. Okay. And then, of course, homes that have some backyard that they can have this cultivation of this produce, we are also engaging them because we need to have this operation going on. That is in the 80s, we have this operation Feed Yourself.
Yeah.
We are getting to that point where we need to get the youth to go into agriculture. And then also everybody trying to plant something for him or herself. That is basically what the agric department is doing at the assembly.
Now, just before we let you go, what's the situation with your wetlands as part of your jurisdiction? I know that there's quite a large area of wetlands. What's the situation there as far as these real estate companies and some of the encroachment that has happened over there?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, some of these developments have been there for almost about 3-4 decades. At assuming office, we've done everything possible to make sure we protect this wetlands, more especially when we go through the Pambros enclave through to the McCarthy South area, where these are Ramsey sites. We're doing everything possible to protect it. But we still have some recalcitrant developers who will want to, go onto those areas in the blind side of the assembly. But we have the support of some security agencies, and we're doing everything possible to, and then we also have the community also cooperating by, giving us information to move it as and when they see anybody getting into those areas. So, my brother, we're doing everything possible to fight it. It's just like we have this challenge with the Galamsey. Whilst we are fighting, people will find ways and means to be undermining the authorities, but we at Weija Gbawe, we will do everything possible to clamp down anybody who want to take the laws into their own hands.
Well, I often ask myself, though, if there's no human being that if the punitive measures for whatever they are about to embark on is harsh enough, they will easily embark on those things. Sometimes I tend to feel that it's almost like people know that if you build fast enough and you get to a certain level, nobody's going to touch you. Case in point, when you go to the Sakumo area and we had this whole thing, we're going to pull down the buildings and everything else in the wetlands. Then one day, one beautiful fine day, we wake up and then we are told that we are only pulling down fence walls and that no building that has been built will be touched. And I mean, I was quite disgusted by the whole thing, but I just felt that this is what we do to ourselves. So it is always a small caveat within our attempts to, enforce the law that allows people to slip through and say, okay, so in the middle of the night, listen, we're going to start some building projects. If we go fast enough, we're going to use prefabricated material. We'll build really fast, and if we can do this thing within the next 4 to 5 days, by the time they realize, they can't come and touch us because the building's already up. And I don't know if we can solve this issue of punishing people regardless of whether their building is up or not. I don't know how you feel about this.
Yeah, my brother, it's a bit of a challenge. But then for me, I can assure you that with Weija Gbawe, upon assumption of office in 2018, any structure that is being pulled up on an authorized area, your reporters can tell you for a fact. I bring them in and I make sure those structures are pulled down. I don't wait for these structures to get to those lengths before we find it very difficult in bringing them down. We are also sensitizing the people, because if you don't educate them, they will always tell you, we didn't know. But we are doing everything possible to make sure they are aware that those areas are no-go areas. So if you put your structure there, since you don't have any permit from the assembly, we can pull those structures down. And your reporters can attest to that fact. We still have some areas that need to be cleared. And I'm telling you, we have given them, some of them, ample time to relocate, because we'll be coming there to pull those structures down. We don't take delight in pulling people's structures down, but we do it for the collective benefit of the entire community. If somebody is building on a waterway, which will bring flooding to affect a majority of the people in that area, I don't see why, as the chief executive, I should sit aloof and watch. It has to be pulled down so that our people can have that relief. And I believe with this, we can get somewhere moving forward.
All right. Thank you very much, Patrick Kumo. We've been speaking with the Honorable Patrick Kumo, who's the MCE of Weija Gbawe. Well, we're going to go into another story, but before we do that, we'll take a quick break and we will come back and get into another story.